All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Outrun tracks lesson today. Today, we're going to be going over a few fundamentals. We're going to be talking about jumping and striding a little bit. We're going to come up with a little line for you guys to be able to practice at home. I'm going to take you through a warm-up that's going to prepare you for that. And then we're going to give you some homework at the end. So I'm going to give you some homework at the end. Afterwards, you can record that, send it to me, and then schedule a session one-on-one if you're a member in order to get some feedback in a private lesson format. So let's get started. I'm going to start you guys off with the tools that I'm using for this lesson today. And then we're going to go over some warm up and jump right into it. So you guys really don't need anything except for your own, eyes and a good amount of space in like a living room. You can even do this outside on like your driveway or someplace that gives you a nice little run, a stretch, but you don't need a ton of room. So it's certainly something that can be done indoors. Now I'm using a couple tools. These aren't necessary. So if you want to pause the lesson at some point later, because this is recorded, and then snag something similar, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm sharing this with you guys. This is our Outrun Precision Trainer blocks, okay? These have like a sticky surface on the bottom, and then we've got a nice surface on top to help you guys with some targets for your jumping. Sometimes it's nice to have something like this that's got a little elevation to it, okay? And then later on, I may also be using one of our Precision Trainer rails here. Now this is totally optional, but some of you guys who are really into stuff should be spending more time doing rail training at home and spending more time working super hard on your balance. That just pays dividends all day. So we'll be doing that. Here. Then the only other thing you guys might benefit from is if you have some sort of sturdy door frame, or if you're by a fence or a gate or something outside of your house or in your garage that gives you a sense of stability that you can maybe pull on a little bit. And so what I mean by that is like here I have a little bit of railing, and if I get on this railing a little bit and be able to hang and sort of open my back and work through that a little bit. Bonus points if you can find something that's stable enough you guys can actually put your feet onto like this, so you can get a little pulling in if we get to that. But for the most part, all you guys are going to need is yourselves and a little bit of space. So let's get started. We're going to be doing two things today primarily, and that's working on our jumps for precision. So precision jump is when you jump to something precisely. So that could be like a little block or this strip of tape here, or it could be a rail or something bigger, right? When you do a jump and you're trying to land and then stop your momentum. So that's what we're going to be focusing on for our skill today. The other skills that we're going to be sort of using to support that is some jumping skills, which would be just our standard like 2-foot jump here, which I'm going to go over a little bit as a prerequisite. Most everybody knows it. And the other one is the stride. So the stride is a single leg jump. And that's where I'm basically just jumping off one leg and it's not running. So the difference would be like, this is me sort of running to something, which is also kind of a stride, but it's when I generally take one step and I use the power off that leg to help me get to a target, okay? So that's the stride that we're gonna be focusing on. And then we're gonna be combining those into something that you guys can use to break a sweat and then also work on your fundamentals. So in the beginning, I'm gonna go over some arm patterns here for our warm up. So really all you need for this is just, again, I've only got like 3 feet around me for space. So that's about all you need for this warm up. So we're gonna start, I'm gonna stand back so you can see my arms. I've got long arms, so I'm trying not to get outside of this frame, but I might put it up just a little bit here. That way you guys can see me a little better. Okay, so here, all you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be taking your arms and you're just gonna let them swing naturally, okay? So this natural swing, we wanna try and take whatever tension out of the swing we can, so it's not a real like intense swing like that, okay? Nice and easy. And then I'm gonna begin to move my weight to the balls of my feet. So I'm not like sort of like lazily hanging out here on my heels. I'm actually gonna start to activate my toes a little bit and move the weight to the balls of feet. Okay, so as this swings here, I'm gonna start to get a little bit of a dip as I come back, and then that's gonna help me with the swing. Boom, so I hit my hips, go back slightly in this swing, and I'm kind of in this like rhythm right now this is almost a groove, as if I was dancing. If I had some music, I follow the beat. But I can edit that in later, I suppose. Okay, so basically what that looks like from profile here is I'm loading my glutes slightly and my quads, and the weight's on the ball of the feet. The chest is just over the knees. So as I do this, I swing here, swing, right? Now I'm getting a little bit of swing here, mimicking my jump, which is also going to make my arms want to float higher. And that's that floaty feeling that we're going for here. So here the glutes push through, and then I stand up through my quads and when the ball's in my feet. And then I'm going to let that come up a little higher. So now the arms, pretty effortlessly, are going over my head, okay? Most of the momentum I'm getting is from my chest coming up and then standing up straight. And here I'm going to start to reach a little more. This is going to be on the balls of my feet, up higher. Good. This is a good time for me to think about extension and how much reach I can really get if I jump with arms overhead. And I'm actually going to let my shoulders elevate and retract slightly, and then my head pass through until I reach the end range of motion. And then just a little dip. The other thing I'm sort of priming here is sort of this high squat, the type of thing I would use for a little jump or a little bounce. This isn't a big movement right here. It's very subtle. Quads are loaded, glutes are loaded. Boom, all right? Boom. So that's just what we're going to do next. Now I'm going to take that momentum, and instead of letting it go up and overhead, I'm going to translate it into my arms feeling floaty and my body feeling really light. So when I jump, I'm sort of using that momentum. Let my arms swing back when I land. It's very natural. My hands come into my chest a little bit as I translate that energy upwards. So if I switch profile, you guys see this. If you guys have neighbors below you, they'll know you're fit and that you work out, because they'll definitely know something's going on. But if it sounds like you're falling down the stairs, then you need to be lighter in your movement. Okay, nice. So now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work a little bit on my calves and my ankles to prime them and warm them up a little bit, okay? So what that looks like for me is just like a jogging in place. But I want you to pay close attention to how my arms reciprocate. They move left, right, left, right, left, right, which is probably mirror image for you, but just roll with me, okay? The arms come in front, and then if you look at like where my feet are, I'm not this, okay? This is not like Derek Zoolander, Mugato, you know? It's gonna be up here where the knees are coming in front, and that's gonna help to warm up my hip flexors. And the whole time I'm like kind of working on how I make my chest feel light, and I stay on the balls of my feet to prime everything. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna do some inside and outside with that, just to get stuff nice and hot. So when I jump in and out like this, I'm eventually going to be doing a pattern. So here, this is about shoulder width. And to be honest, there aren't many times that we're going to use this in class where we'd be landing in this position. But we want to work that end range of motion where we may be in a position where the leg might be here and then return to this position. So for example, if I stride, and my stride position is here, and I come back, I might have some more of this like lateral work on the leg. So we're gonna practice that. And then I'm gonna make it a little more challenging with you guys. And then I'm gonna give you a skill that you're gonna work on in there that's gonna translate later when we do work on the track we're working on today, okay? So it looks like this. I'm out and I'm in, that's it. Now, try to keep light, just like before, where our chest is real light, not a lot of weight, not on your heels, or on the balls of the feet, okay? Now, here's where it gets tricky. So you're gonna take your right leg, and as that comes in, you're gonna bounce onto your left. Pull the knee in front, let the opposite side arm reciprocate. from side. So now I'm also bringing this leg underneath me. So my plant leg, as the right knee's up, comes underneath me. And if I'm being really mindful, I'm flexing this toe too, or this ankle and the toe, but lightly, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's try that on the other side, all right? This one's gonna be here, and then I'm going to pull the, my left leg will come in, and then I will come back out, okay? So here, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're nice and slow. Flex the hips. I also have a nice little forward lean when I do this, and then we'll double time. You guys can just get used to this on your own. This is gonna be in the homework. And then we can pick the pace up. Voila, okay. What that exercise is gonna do is prime your ankles, all right? And also there's a little bit of coordination in there. Oftentimes when we're training and we're jumping to an obstacle with 2 feet, and then we're making a transition to 1 foot, and then we're making a transition back to 2. And that coordination can become difficult, so it's important to have it. So if I'm jumping from 2, 1, 2, then I need to have that mechanic built in. Sometimes we do it. You guys take a break for a second and breathe. Get a little bit of water. Sometimes when we do it, instinctively it happens. And other times you don't have the instinct, so you need to build that mechanic in there. And if you don't have it, you really risk tripping or coordination issues later on when you're trying to learn a sequence. And then you have to learn that pattern, that little pattern of just the 1-2 switch in the during the time when you're trying to learn something more complicated. It's a lot to take in at once. It can get frustrating. Practice these drills and you'll be less frustrated, be faster, stronger, and I believe smarter. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on our 2-foot jumps, okay? So what that looks like is coming into this position. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my arms, I'm gonna swing behind, I'm gonna load in that nice like warm-up position we were doing here, where our hands are coming over the top. I'm gonna load here, and then when I jump up, I'm gonna let myself feel very weightless, and I'm gonna let my knees come up in front, and my toes will flex, okay? So it won't be like this, it'll be like this, okay? So here, all right, arms behind, we're just gonna do a little baby hop. I'm gonna pop my arms up as I stand up, balls of the feet, come through the chest, boom, okay? Makes me look like nice and weightless here. 1, 2, boom. We'll try and get a little more height than we were getting in the warm-up. All right, look. Boom. Okay, so we're in profile. Okay, this one will really upset your neighbors, so do it daily. Now, you should feel float in that. It shouldn't feel like you're pushing off of your heels. You push off of the balls of your feet. So I'm gonna give you guys a second here to do like 10 of these. So let's go ahead and let's try about 10 on our own. I'm gonna actually do do 5, and then you guys are gonna do 10. And I'm gonna make sure I'm on Do Not Disturb. Okay. All right, so here's what that looks like. Okay. In the beginning, don't worry about your arms. Try and get nice and floaty. Okay. Mindful when you land, try and make it nice and soft. So don't push through the ground. I'm jumping right on plywood here with light that I don't think is very well screwed in. So everything sounds creaky. Ooh, that's better. Found a support beam. All right, cool. So you should feel a lot of loft in the chest. All right, for our next adjustment that we're gonna make, when you land, I want you to try and pull your arms back behind like you're gonna put them in your pockets. And then as you land, absorb that further into a softer landing, okay? So watch, this is I'm gonna demo, okay? Hands will be behind, up, pull behind, and then that's the tricky part, okay? You've got to be able to pull your arms up, and then once you get in the air, now you'll flex, you'll pull your arms behind you before you land. Watch. Okay? So the arms, look. Okay? So try those. Try like 3 of them, and let's see how it feels. See if you can get that coordination. You'll know you did it right if when you feel the ground landing, your hands are behind your butt. Like you could almost clap them behind you, okay? All right? Okay? You don't have to do that clappy drill. I was actually just seeing if it worked out. It did. So we might keep it in there for next time. Okay. So, now, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take that jump a little deeper, okay? So, now you guys hopefully have that pattern with the arms. If you don't, again, homework, just work on it. Don't stress out too much about it. So, what I want you to do, if you have it or you don't, the next movement we're gonna do is to pull the knees up. We're gonna land, and then we're gonna sink into like a half squat, okay? So you'll be here, all right? Nice relaxed arms, okay? You'll load behind, you'll jump, pull behind, and now I'm gonna load until I can just sort of start to feel the glutes in the posterior chain. I'm on the balls of my foot, by the way, okay? So that puts me down here in this position. Everything's active, quads, glutes, calves. My chest is slightly over my knees as I balance in this position. It's gonna be just like a very common balancing position. You should be used to it, okay? So here, load, knees up, and then come down. So when we come down, as you do this exercise, it should be like a leaf falling, okay? Or the other analogy I use is like you're taking an elevator, but it's at a really nice hotel. So when you come down to like the bottom floors, you don't even know. It's like maybe 8, 10 stories, boom, and then real soft, okay? So I want like 5-star hotel softness in your landing, okay? Here, I'll stand up closer so you can see. Here, all right, up, touch, and then ease into that landing. Set, load, jump, tuck, land, real soft, okay. The arms can either just kind of float back down, or they can come into the body a little bit as you move closer to the center, okay? Okay, and that's fine. So how did it go? Let's try a couple more, and let's just see what it feels like, all right? Okay, so what did you notice about that? Was there any tension? Was it hard? For a lot of people, when you guys are starting out, it feels like you go straight to like you're falling, and then there's this tension, okay? So that looks something like this, right? I just stop. My butt doesn't move down anymore. I'm just feeling for the ground, and as soon as I feel it, boom, I tense up. What we want to do is stretch that dexterity into a broader window, okay? So you make contact, and then you squeeze, and then let off, okay? So I'm here, tension, then I relax just a little bit. And what this does is it extends the impact into the ground over time longer, which means that your chances of slipping are less. Moreover, it's better for your knees, okay? We're trying to minimize the wear and tear on our knees just in life and what we do. So especially when we're training parkour, we want to make sure that we're keeping these puppies around for a long time. And what they actually tend to do is become stronger and more used to that being under flexion through that full range of motion as we practice this technique more and more. So let's try 2, maybe 3 more, and then we move on to some other warm up for the knees and lower body, okay? So let's try 1 or 2 more on your own. Go ahead and get started. Don't worry too much about your arms. Just try and focus on making that contact with the balls of your feet first. And don't worry too much about jumping super high, because sometimes that can be harder start at a height that you're able to actually land in and then absorb the full impact just through a broader range of motion, okay? We don't want to go so low that we bottom out in the squat because we want to maintain that flexion for use in plyometrics and balance later, okay? So we don't want to come up here and then just drop down here either, all right? We want to make sure that we're training flexion through that range of motion. That's where we get those strong, good-looking parkour calves. And that's where we take care of the knees, okay? Let's not just skip the knee and go right down to the connective tissue and jerk on that and see if it explodes out of your knee, all right? So we don't want that. So that's what I call like a two-star hotel elevator drop. I don't think one-star hotels even have elevators, so we're gonna say two-star hotels, all right? So in that context, what it would look like is you're coming down the elevator, right? And you just boom, okay. And then maybe the door opens and there's like a gap where you have to step, all right? So we're trying to get from 2 stars to 5 stars. Hopefully you don't have a 1-star jump, but haven't seen one yet. I'm sure it's out there. So, okay, let's move on to warming up the rest of the knees. We're doing a lot with the knees today. And I wanna make sure they're nice and hot and strong, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the squat. I'll have you put your feet, so most of the time you guys might be used to doing a squat out like this. We're gonna put our feet closer together because the targets that we jump to tend to be narrower. So we wanna train the legs to be able to find that space that's very narrow and still feel strong and comfortable within it, okay? So the arms will swing behind on this squat. I prefer to teach it where I'm loading and I'm training you to load for like jumping to something as we're practicing that squat. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Please don't throw rocks at birds. All right, behind, squat, swing up, and then let your arms pull in. So you are gonna do the squat. You can use your arms you're gonna do the squat in a way where you can use your arms to help you get back up. So it's gonna look like this, flexion, then we're gonna do some extension there, all right? Down, the arms swing, and then pull up here. Down, the arms swing, pull up here. We are gonna go a little bit lower this time. Boom, okay? Boom, good. Pretty easy. You can go a little bit lower. Make sure the chest stays forward so that if it needs to, it could come in between the knees, the chest position. We won't keep the knees like locked together because we want room for our chest and our hips to spill in to get a greater range of motion in the squat. So we're not just doing this for the aesthetics of a great parkour glute, okay? We are doing this to make sure that we have the full range of motion as well, and we're strong in that full range of motion. We're gonna stand where our hands should be and our chest should be as we go down. And again, the weight's on the balls of my feet. I'm not back on my heels here, all right? Doing that, I'm back on almost on the balls of the feet. My heels are like lightly touching and kissing the ground here. Boom, okay, let's hit 10 of those. Excellent, okay, so that should be about 10 right there. I'll wrap them up if you're not quite done on that, all right? And so from here, what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna jump, and I'm gonna let you guys come down into a fuller range of motion, okay? So it's about as comfortable as you were in depth with that exercise, should be about as how low you're gonna go when you do this next set of jumps, all right? This precision calibration, we're gonna actually pick an object in front of us, all right? So for me, it might be this little bit of tape here. For you, it can be anything. It can just be like a crack in the wood, right? So sometimes you have like a grain in the wood on your floor. It can be a spot of like lint on your carpet, or it can be one of these awesome precision trainers that we're selling on the website. Shameless plug for wood. Okay, so what that's gonna look like, and I'll use it, you guys don't need to, but I'm gonna use it just because I have it here, okay? So again, just pick a target. They'll stand about, a foot or two. We don't want a big jump here. Again, this is just calibration. And what I'm gonna do is I'll set up for my little jump. I'll put my arms behind me. My knees will come up. Don't forget to bring your knees up. I don't need my knees up on something so short. So I'll try to do a better demo of that here. Knees up a little more. There we are. And then I'm gonna come down into this good squat depth. So I'm on the balls of my feet. I'm gonna take a second, I'm gonna lower, and then I'm gonna rest here for a second. This squat balance position is on the balls of the feet. And then you're going down into a position where your legs are slightly apart to let your chest and your hips spill through if need be. And then this stops your back from rounding out at the bottom of that if you have good range of motion, okay? I'll turn sideways, right? So I'll balance like this guy here, right? So I've got this position where I'm maintaining thoracic curve, right? Little lumbar curve. That means you got that little S curve in your back, okay? And I'm balancing here, and what this does is it just allows me to work on my ankle strength here, make little adjustments from this position, and put my knees at the end range of motion, but not under a ton of like stress, okay? Don't jump around on these and slip around like this unless you're comfy. You've been doing these for a while. They don't tweak anything, okay? So I can just sit here and balance and rest. A more advanced technique is to do this with the rails that we were talking about earlier. You guys can get some of those rails and then balance on those as well. That's next level stuff. So it's good to focus on. When you stand back up, again, I don't like to just push straight through my knees. I'm gonna use my mechanics, load behind, and then it's gonna help me come up a little bit, okay? Doesn't mean never train in a way that loads it, but I'm saying, and for this purpose of this exercise, we're just gonna do it that way. So let's pick our target again, knowing that that's our squatting position, all right? We're gonna jump from here to the target. Flexion, once I know I have stability, I'm gonna move into squat balance, and then we'll work a little bit on depth, okay? Don't overload this, but you can also begin to play with pushing the knees forward slightly in this position, but not being dependent on the ground to land on, okay? Not yet anyway, all right? I like to keep my arms out. When I'm balancing, sometimes I might have to make a bigger adjustment, but typically I'm gonna keep them like in this neutral position around my center of mass here, okay? Back up, we'll step away. So let's go for a couple more of these. So I'm gonna let you guys work on these for a second. Keep the chest forward. A good cue is to point your chest at your target that you're jumping to, okay? So my target's down there, my coin, my towel, my precision trainer, the crack on the wood, maybe where the dog is lying. Don't jump on the dog, right? Or the cat, okay? Maybe you guys are cat fans. I'm gonna pull my knees up more in the jump, but if you really wanna work on flexion, we bring the knees up in the hips for this, okay? Good, come down to balance. Hang out here for a second. I'm just gonna work on a couple of these and you guys get a chance to do some on your own. Or if you're watching this for review, you can pay attention to some of my technique and watch my movements. Okay, that should be good. All right, so again, application for that little precision trainer there is generally jumping to anything in parkour, all right? So that's when it comes to applying things, there's like the sort of the optimal way to train them, train through the full range of motion. If I was just jumping to that, to be honest, there's no reason for me to go down the squat. You'll see later in the track that I'll pull something a little closer to this, where I'm in this upright position, sort of ready, almost like our little like parkour athletic stance here. But I'm not gonna go into a full squat unless I need that range of motion for the jump, or there's some other obstacle in play that I feel like it helps me with, okay? So, good. So let's try one more thing here. I've got you guys out. I think I'll just combine this next exercise, all right? So, here, what we're gonna do is you guys are gonna take 2 jumps, all right? You're gonna jump to something that's right in the front of you here, and then you're gonna jump to something that you have like your target, okay? This is another little arm swing technique that I'm gonna teach you guys in this situation too. If you've done, this is called Plyo. If you've done these before, I'm gonna show you a little arm swing technique that's gonna help you get better at them, okay? So we'll start with the hands out in front in this like neutral position. We're up in the balls of our feet a little bit. They're active, we're not standing all the way up. We're active here. And then I'm gonna do my jump. I'll load the arms behind. I'll swing out, pull my feet up like this. Remember to keep your knees flex. When you keep your knees flexed, keep your feet flexed so you don't drag your feet behind. And then I'm going to do, when I land, my hands will be behind. So if you remember, we did this exercise in the beginning. That same thing happens here. And then I do another jump. So when I land, my arms are already behind on that first jump. So all I have to do is load and then continue the jump here, okay? So if you're jumping to, for the first, one of your first times doing this, if you're jumping to a target that has some sort of complexity to it, like this or the ground, just when you're practicing this technique, try it a couple times without the target being difficult, like a towel or anything. Just try it on the ground and then move into adding the target. Because the difficult mechanic is going to be right in the middle. Watch. Here, I'm neutral. I got a little more stank on it than I needed. Okay, here. Okay. So, yes, in the beginning, that's what it looks like combined. In the beginning, you can try it that way. If you're struggling on making the arms work and it feels awkward, what you can actually do is break that technique down and add an additional arm swing so that you're still practicing that good mechanic that links them together. It's sort of an in-between step. The most basic way to do it is going to be to jump, look at where I'm going again, move my legs around a little bit, and then go for a jump again, okay? Like that's the most basic way. But if you try and merge those two together, a nice intermediary step, so something in the middle to do, is to take a second arm swing. So here, jump, arm swing, feel it out, swing back again, jump. Okay, so that's letting me do 2 an arm swing as I land, and then I'm thinking about it, and then I'll go again. Maybe you need 2 or 3 arm swings, but I like to see that mechanic in there, that pendulum, and I like to not see it stop. So even if I'm not comfortable, oh, that's far. Okay, look at my arms. They're still loose. I still have that tempo, and then I load, and I jump. Again, point your chest at that target, especially if it's real short. It'll help you hit it and not overshoot it. The arm swing also not only helps with momentum going forwards, the arm swing also helps as you're landing to make an accommodation where your weight has to shift back a little bit. So if I'm here and I have my arms forward, you'll find that the majority of times you're gonna fall forward if you have any kind of momentum, okay? And what the arms behind allows you to do is slow yourself a little bit and scoop in. So no matter how many steps you need to take or swings you need underneath, I want you to try these now by breaking them out and then doing them separately if you have to. Trying to add in that arm swing now. So ideally we have the plyo jump in the middle and we have the arm swing, okay? That's what you should be practicing right now. Let's go for a few. If you haven't been practicing them and you're just sort of listening and watching, try and even if you're just in a little bit of space, just feel it out. Now it's practice time. So even if you're just got your headphones on, you're at the kitchen, you're waiting for the food to cook or whatever, you can still do a little arm swing. You can get a little hop in. You hear? And you can feel, oh, that's where I would have jumped. Okay, good. So maybe this time, even though I don't have much room, I'll do my swing and then I'll try and link it. Here, hands back, I'm gonna jump again. Okay, good, there. So that's what you can do. I think I maybe used 2 feet to train that. So you guys, if you're tight on space, you can still work on those mechanics. It's very challenging. So to get the timing down, it's very good for you guys to practice. Okay, let you guys get just a quick drink of water. All right, and then we're gonna move on to the next technique. Okay, so back to the basics. In this technique, we're going to be doing something that is a single leg jump, okay? So this is what we would call a stride. It's on a single leg. So here what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be jumping from 2 feet to 1 foot. Now, if you remember earlier, we did an exercise, which we're just going to revisit real quick, and that's going to be to jump from here to here, okay? So this is going to be 2 feet together bouncing. All right. Then I'm going to pull up my right leg. So now I'm bouncing together, left, on my left. Now I'm going to try to do both. So I have a 2-foot jump in the middle, right, left, right, left, right, left. That pattern is also in your homework. So that'll be enough to explain it. Try it a couple more times to get that pattern down. Again, you can start with the bounce. In the beginning, if it doesn't make much sense, you can just try pulling one up. And when you're comfortable again, pull one up. And then work that into 1 or 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And then alternating 2, 1. Making sure the hips flex and the feet flex and stuff's in front. Back here, no mugato. All right? So, don't get the Derek Zoolander references. Swear, just good education. Solid education. Derek Zoolander. All right, so now we're going to be combining that footwork into a jump. So I'm starting from 2 feet here, and then I'm going to jump forward. I'm going to land on 1 foot, like we were doing before in our practice, and then I'm going to land on 2. So it's going to be 2, 1, 2. Left foot, right foot. I'm going to say start with the right. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to jump 2, 1, 2. Ready? That's what it looks like, okay? So I want you to try it now. Again, super easy. 2-foot jump, 1-legged jump, 2-foot landing. Okay? Bonus points if you can get the hands to reciprocate as you do the jump. So that looks like this. Okay? There's a little bit of like Running Man in there. Okay, there's another drill I can show you guys later that has a scoop in there. If you're really a fire breather and you feel like you want that, I can teach it to you. And that is essentially you jump here. Right? Again. It's gonna feel like I'm jumping there and get ready to kick a ball. Okay? Now trying to get more comfortable, bring the knees up. Okay? But that's more advanced. If you're struggling with the first part, let's get 2, 1, 2 down. You can come back, watch the video later, and then work on that drill, all right? So here, jump, 2, 1. Or excuse me, 1, 2, all right? And then we're gonna try it on the other leg. So go ahead and get ready. Here, jump, left, 2, all right? Back again, nice and easy, 2 feet, 1 foot. Cool, not bad, right? This is the beginnings of what I like to practice as parkour hopscotch, for lack of a better term. We're gonna imagine that we have a block that allows us to jump with only 1 leg, and then a block that only allows us to land on 2, okay? So, I have another video that I'm working on with that I'll link out if I remember in this lesson. But here, 2, 1, 2, okay? This pattern scales up, so let's practice it a few times. And while you're practicing, I'm gonna explain to you some scenarios where you would be using it, okay? Maybe something for homework as well. Let's go ahead and try and get another 5 to 10 of those in the time that I talk, okay? So go ahead and get started. Now, when you're doing this, you can sort of visualize the types of targets that you might be working with. So if you're imagining that you're on a rooftop, or you're jumping on branches, or you're jumping on like, you know, retaining walls, bars, rails, whatever is in your little heart's imagination, it's a good time to have that intention as you do it. And although we're just trying it on the ground here, we're still practicing a good technique that you can use later. Jumping to 1 leg is a skill. So if you can imagine jumping to 2 legs, the weight is distributed across both feet. In the situation where we're using a stride, all that weight gets put onto 1 leg. And so it's our job to come up with mechanics and practice that lighten that, so that when you jump to stuff, you don't sprain your ankle and you don't damage your ankle, but instead you get stronger and you leverage the technique to accomplish your goal. So for your own imagination, you can imagine being on 2 tall buildings or something, and there's a little gap with a wall, or maybe you're on 1 building and there's, you know, a short gap, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Like, I don't want you to get stressed out over it. And then so you're going to jump, and then you're going to jump to that first little retaining wall. Maybe it's only like, maybe like a foot or 8 inches wide on one leg, and then you're going to jump to the other wall and try not to fall forward, right? So jump, boom, boom, and then you jump to that. If you have your precision trainer, now's a good time to bust it out. And it's going to represent sort of the other side of that wall. So I'll jump to one wall, 1, 2, and then see if I survived or not, okay? In this case, I did not fall off the skyscraper or the doghouse, whatever you're jumping on, right? I did accomplish that successfully. So now try both legs. So now instead of being less concerned about the target of the precision, we're gonna hit stuff that we can actually see, okay? So get out your target, whatever you've been using here. Remember, use your arms and reciprocate on the jump. Excuse me, yeah, reciprocate on the jump, and then swing through, land. Let's hit that a couple more times. Good, good. Hopefully that feels pretty good. Hopefully you guys feel like you're getting the hang of that pattern and it's becoming easy for you. Again, there's going to be a lot of stress on conditioning for the legs, so it's good to do it on the ground first and then sort of add complexity later. But the ultimate goal is to take this to the streets. So you do want to eventually get some targets in, get some practice. That's part of homework, finding something you can jump to. One thing I want to make sure I tell you guys before that is when you are jumping to things, we built these precision trainers in a way so that the midfoot sort of hovers over the back, the balls of the feet are in the middle-ish of the wood. You want to find a target that's similar to that, okay? I mean, you want to be able to land on anything, but this is a good one to start with because your toes have a place to go and your heels have a little bit of support in the midfoot if you start to flex down there like that. You don't want to land on the middle of the foot. You want to land on the balls of the foot or the back of the balls of the foot and roll to the ball of the foot in most situations. Always exceptions. Okay, the next technique that we're going to need is just a 180 jump, okay? So this is very easy. You're going to use your same jumping technique, but you're going to do a half turn, all right? So if you've been training with socks on and you have a wood floor, okay, do not pull a, I don't know, I feel like there's some Tom Cruise movie that has that in it. I can't remember what it is. You guys can let me know later on, all right? So if you're training in your socks and your underwear and your white button-up shirt, take your socks off so you don't slip and fall, all right? And here's what you're going to do. You're going to jump, and you're just going to turn and look over the shoulder. If you turn and look, your body will follow. Where the head goes, the body follows, okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to take a little hop here, and then as we jump up into the air, we'll take a look over our left shoulder, because I'm a left twister, all right? Left shoulder, and we'll spot the wall directly behind us, and then gracefully fall into the landing here, okay? Look, all right, so arms can be here. Let the arms naturally sort of relax if you have extra momentum. If you have extra momentum, let the arms naturally relax across. Because what can happen is if you keep the tension, it'll pull you off balance. Look, arms tight can sometimes pull you. So I like to have this nice, like, swaggy little, like, arm turn here. Looks like this. And that is advertised for a dramatic effect. You don't need to make that much of a, little, like, dance move in there if you want. But again, I'm trying to tell you, you don't want a lot of tension in there. So let's start practicing that one. Let's try 5 on the left, 5 on the right. See which one you like better. It will probably be left because you did left first. And that's okay because I prefer to teach people to twist left. So for reasons yet unknown. Okay, switch sides to the other side. Let's get 5 in, going on the right. So same pattern as before. The arm's just going to set up on the other side, or you can simply just do it from here. It's such a little jump, you probably don't need a ton of energy from your arms. Here, there, boom. Try and make that 180, perfectly 180, okay? Because essentially the applications are going to be turning directions. All right. Good, okay. So There you go. You got those 5 in there. Now we're going to be jumping into a scenario where I'm going to have you link these. We're going to be combining the techniques that we just learned today into a down and back little track here, okay? So what the track is today is, I'm going to move this for a second just to show you. Move that for a second just to show you what we're doing. I'm not going to be jumping anything in the beginning. I'm going to show you the movement pattern first. All right, so I'm going to do 2 jumps and then I'm going to land in a precision, okay? So that's going to be, I'm going to set, I'm going to do 1, 2, I've landed in precision. Once I have stability, I'm going to jump and do my 180 jump. I'm going to jump from 2, 1, 2, but I'm actually going to make this a little bit harder for you. We're actually going to do, we're going to see if we can do, we'll do the 1 first, okay? And I'll give you a harder variation. This is what we practiced, okay? If you feel like that's too easy and you have a little more space, I'd like you to try and combine both legs in there, okay? So I'll have my 2 jumps here, and then my 2 strides back. Watch. 1, 180 turn, jump. That was 2 steps in there. So on the way back, I jumped from 2, 1, 1, and then I land 2, okay? So again, the arms are like this when I do that, okay? They're opposite, so I can swing and pull my knee up to get more distance, okay? So let me demo again. You guys should be practicing right now. If you already get it, just get to work, okay? So starting from back here, so you guys see it, I'm jumping here, turn, jump, stride, stride, pre. So this is jump, plyo, pre, 180, jump, stride, stride, precision, okay, or pre, okay? So I'll go through it again. You guys should be practicing right now. There's always something to work on with this. So if you feel like you've got the jumps, look at the arms, all right? If you guys have questions about the arms, then you guys can ask me in chat if you need to. I have chat open. You guys can ask me about the arms or any other outstanding questions you have as you're practicing the track today. I want you guys to get 20 of these in, okay? So let's start now. Let's start working on them. And I'm going to be talking about more advanced ways to make them more difficult as we progress. Do not feel obligated to do those progressions. Get your 20 in solid. If they're easy, you can do 5 down and back, and then you can take just a break for a second and listen to me talk about the next one, okay? So let's get some trips down and back in. I'm going to set up for the next progression, all right? Cool. So hope you got a couple of those in. I'm going to talk to you about this next progression. The next progression will be to use targets, towels, whatever is not super slippery. Again, I've got these precision trainers here. They're nice, all right? So I'll put my 2 jumps in the middle, and I'll have that precision at the end, okay? So I'll have 1, 2. Perhaps I put those a little far apart for a beginner, but just maybe tighten them up if you guys have them out that far. Then I have my jump. 180, stride, stride, precision, okay? That's the next progression. And play with this with the distance that's nice and easy. So like 60% level of effort is where I like to start, then quickly bump it up to 80. And when I get in, I feel like, man, I really feel good about this. Like I'm succeeding 3 in a row or something like that, 3 out of 5. Then I'm like, okay, let's kick it out a little bit. Let's see if I can go further. But keep that within range too, because these things, a lot of these things aren't pinned to the ground. If you've got a really good surface, it's really stable, then it's awesome to be able to push yourself and go a little bit harder. If you're jumping to stuff that's higher up, let's remember to keep our toes flexed to reduce the risk of shinning the object, okay? So let's make sure we get those toes flexed. And then when we land on things, let's try and put our feet out in front of us a little bit. The further up and the more momentum that you have, all right? So in the beginning, I don't need a lot of I don't need to flex my hips that much, but as the jumps become bigger, I do. So in the beginning, it's just like this. My feet are just barely in front. But if I'm jumping from something back here, I'm gonna have to like, a little rough, but yeah, I'm gonna have to put those feet out more. And I'm also, if I'm jumping something further, I have to put my feet out in front. All right, this position, all right, I jokingly call, because of my martial arts background, eagle captures prey or falcon captures prey. So when you're in this position, like a bird, you're coming in for a landing, and then you're getting right to your target, and you're just like snatching that target, okay? So that's for fun. Falcon catches prey. I like to say falcon because I think eagles are just, they're a bit overdone. I mean, they're cool birds, but falcons are faster. Okay, so now let's go back to that progression again. If you're looking for something harder, again we have the 2 foot here with the plyo and the precision. If you can again increase the distance to make this harder. The other thing that you can do is introduce an object that is even more difficult to sort of jump to. All right, so here I have one of our rails for training. Actually, I might jump over this way because then you can actually see. Okay, this is one of our precision trainer rails that you guys can practice on. So more advanced students can, with stronger ankles who are used to this, can try and jumping to the rail. So I would say that a good rule of thumb is that if you're, okay, let me demo, right. So I would say that a good rule of thumb is that if you're able to like hang out, you don't need you don't need to juggle and have an obstacle in with you, but if you're able to hang out in that position for 30 seconds to a minute, you're probably ready to jump to it. And you may be strong enough to handle it, but it's just a good discipline when you're working with these rails is to have this position on lockdown and feel really comfy in here, okay? Very relaxed, can make your adjustments. Your ankles aren't going below the bar. I like to keep them above in flexion so that I can show that I have control. Now, so as you're practicing, if you're looking for the more advanced one, and you have the rails, now's the time to add in that rail. So back here, I just have my little target. And then is this in the camera? Okay, good. You guys can see that. There, all right? So here, I'll start from my precision position here. All right, let's see if I can get this on the first try here. Oh, almost, okay. I'm gonna have to work at it a little bit. That's fine. Little slippery on this turf. Okay, so I would work up to this position here. All right, then I do my jump, stride, stride, precision. Okay. Go ahead and try the more difficult variation. That one's just outside of my reach here. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. Be mindful of your surface. So if you guys are practicing on something that is slick, make sure that the object's not sliding around too much. I try not to make huge adjustments because I know I can just come back to it and work on it. If this was a scenario where there was more risk involved with the object I was jumping to, I wouldn't be starting out on a progression where it was taking me 2 or 3 times to get it and then not have absolute control over that position. But it is fun to train here because I've basically got this wood on this turf here. It adds some additional like sway. Maybe if I was working on a fence or something where there was some give at height, that might kind of resemble what's happening here. Most of the time you're jumping rails, you're jumping to something that should be very sturdy. You don't have a huge risk of breaking, okay? If you guys want to, in this track, you can mix it up a little bit. You can start jumping. You can start jumping the other direction. You're going to your strides. All right. You can even try and make, if you feel like the plyo is what's causing trouble for you. I think I might have had 2 jumps in there originally. So if the plyo is causing trouble for you, you can add another jump in there, or you can go the other direction. And if it's the way back, you think the strides are easier, you can move the strides back and then have a target to return to that's further than what you jumped from. So here I'll start on the turf for my jump instead of starting back there, or about the same position as I started. All right, I'll do my jump, do my turn. Now this is further, and then I'm working on that exercise of getting my stride distance up. Okay, so give a couple more tries at those with the higher difficulty. All right, and while you guys are doing that, if anybody's tired and they're done, I'm just going to show you some of my basics for the rail. All right, so the first basic that I'll work on with people when I'm coaching is to try and get their rail balance up to 30 seconds, and then from 30 seconds, the next good milestone is a minute. All right, so it's always tougher to talk this, but I'm gonna try. So the modifications that I make, or excuse me, the adjustments I make, is I like to keep my chest over my knees slightly here as I'm balancing, side flexion. In my ankles, I like to keep my heels above the balls of my feet, so I have some room to make adjustments. You can sort of see me doing this in here. All right, pawing like a kitten, okay? Then I come down, and I keep my chest forward on my balls of my feet still, and I'll go towards the bottom of these squats, and I'll work through this range of motion. I keep my gaze slightly in front. You guys can even try this on the floor. You don't need to have the rail to work on this on the balls of the feet for the strength aspect, but for the balance aspect, you do. Sometimes being at the bottom is actually easier. So it's important to work that range of motion, but not ever be too sort of complacent in where you are. Figure out where your balance feels the crummiest. For me, it's like right in between going into that like bottom out position where it's really hard. I'm in a low squat here. There's still flexion in my glutes and quads. That's a tough one. I'll come down here and rest for a second. And then, yeah, I'll go back through. And then once you guys get really used to it, again, it's a very casual stance to be in, to balance on the rail. But you have to work your way up to it and make adjustments up and down so that up becomes easy and down becomes simple. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of a cool down here. I'm gonna have you guys go over some skills with the upper body a little bit, all right? Earlier I mentioned some pressing and whatnot. So we're just gonna cool down. I'm gonna do a lot for your legs. We're gonna go down, we're gonna do a little bit to open those back up. I'm gonna flex the other direction. So here I'm in the seiza position. All right, here like this, good. We've spent a lot of time in that flexion for that ankle. So now we're gonna chill out, take it the other direction, open it back up. Cool. Here I'll come back in. I'll stretch my toes more. You can do some of these at the beginning too, just to like check in with yourself and be like, where am I tight? Especially if you've done a recent session and you are tight. You can do, there's a lot of exercises you can do at the beginning of training that can both help to prime you for what your exercises are going to be in your session, but also give you that nice mobility as part of the earlier parts of your training. Okay. From here, let's work into the squat a little bit. I'm gonna open up this way. I'm gonna let my heels start to come to the ground, let my chest go in between. If this range of motion is pretty easy for you guys, you can start to like eagle out, pull your arms out to the side here, and begin to sort of like relax into that position there. My back is a little bit rounded, but I am trying to tilt my hips forward in this position. And I'm still pretty much on the balls of my feet. My feet are together. If it's harder, you guys can take your feet and bring them apart. This is a modification that's gonna help if you have the flexibility issues there, all right? So you can start to like sort of come into this position and open up that way, okay? All right, good. So that's gonna be it for our lesson today. The focus was primarily on the upper body or the lower body. So if you guys are thinking about upper body as I described that, some of your homework, I'm gonna give it to you right now. We wanna make sure that we get those skills in we just trained that's going to be a lot of work for your lower body. Upper body stuff, I want you to work a little bit on pushing and pulling fundamentals. So what I mean by that is finding a position that you can, an angle that you can push in that's going to be real easy for you. I want you to do 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, depending on whether you're fatigued or not. Leave 2 in the tank, I like to say. So don't, that means 2 reps. So don't push to failure when you do this, okay? So it can be a scenario where it's as simple as you finding something like, I love stairs for this at your house is fine, because you can just continue to modify all the way down. And so what you might be doing is your sets of pressing here. I want the elbows in that situation, or for that method rather, all right? Feel your shoulders, they feel good, cool. Go back in them. Check your shoulders and then check your back and make sure that there's not unnecessary tension coming and reaching from the neck. Nice and neutral. Look, I'm not trying to like reach for this. It's all I'm trying to find that motion in the pressing. Elbows in, almost like a dip, okay? So that puts me in this position. I don't want you to train them out here for this application, this homework. If that becomes easier, I've even got a little bit of a gap here with the subfloor. I can start to do them here. Okay, tuck the tail, press, round the shoulders. So I don't want them like here. Protract, push the shoulders out. Then, if you have the rail, it's actually fun to be able to do these on the rail as well, just because you can get some grip. It's different. It feels a bit different to hold onto a bar when you're doing that, and it's just I like to hold onto the metal, okay? So that's why. Sometimes this just gets a little boring, I like to switch it up, okay? So that's your pushing, all right? 3 sets, 8 to 10, 8 to 12 reps. Your pulling can be done on another apparatus. If you can get your grip around like a wall, or like a strong entryway, or you just have a gate and whatnot, all right? You guys can begin to pull. So here's what you need to be thinking about when you pull. Pull your chest to the object, right? So if I'm here, and I'm gonna actually turn this just a little bit so you guys can see. Right here, I'm gonna pull. My chest is gonna glide over, and then I'm gonna push up. If I have to, I can walk up like that. And then I'm gonna make sure at the top, my shoulders depress, they press down, so I'm gonna do full range of motion. Shoulders are elevated, they retract, I pull into my chest, snake over the top, press, right? This mimics the climbing mechanic that you're gonna need later for the climb up. If you have the climb up, you can do you can do climb ups as well as part of the exercise. Pick a lower rep range, focus on power, okay? Here, another modification, if I get my toes up. Keep my chest. I'm not doing this where I'm swinging out away, okay? Come in. Chest on top, boom, you press up. Down, load the negative, like that. You can do the same thing if you can get a bar. You can start to do work on some of the pulling, and then you can actually, if you can have the bar here and get your feet up in this position, you can still get some pulling in. Ideally, you have something as a ledge like that, but work with what you got, all right? Get some of that pulling in, okay? Then your other homework is to work on those foot patterns. Again, we have the out and the in. All right, remember those, go back and watch those. Then we have the pattern of the feet together, 1 and 2, right? Working that pattern in, the feet are easy, get the arms involved, okay? And then you have your actual track. So what I want you guys to do for homework for me is, if you guys can, what you're gonna do is go out and find an obstacle outside that mimics these targets. Sometimes it's like a little like curve. Be careful with those, you don't pinch your ankle, or sometimes it's a retaining wall. Be careful with those, sometimes the bricks are loose, all right? But if you can find a good spot where you've got sort of 2 points to work on and then a place to turn, be mindful of safety, keep those toes tucked, protect the shins, and then I want you guys to record yourself doing that and then send it to us, me specifically, for feedback, and I'll get online with you guys and do a coaching session when we follow up with one of our coaching sessions and help you guys out with technique and answer any additional questions. But that is it for our lesson today. You've got your homework, you got moving a little bit. Hopefully you guys got to level up and feel what a new technique looks like, or pay attention to a technique you've been practicing for a while, and now you're cleaning up even more. It's been awesome coaching you guys today, and I will see you next time.